Hello and welcome to the third video in the Zen Paddling series. I'm Gary. Today we're going to look at exercises and one stretch that is all about activating our pelvic and hip adductor and abductor muscles, because these are absolutely crucial in paddling. And actually, as we get older, they become even more crucial in everyday life, because these are the muscles that prevent us falling over and breaking our hips. And once you break a hip, the future is not as rosy as it could be. So in this second video, I introduced the concept of Zen paddling, which is all about sensing where your body is at any one time and the forces you sense in various parts. We talked about our feet and our top hand and our bottom hand and the pressures and tensions we feel in those. But today I want to take it a little bit further, and we're going to investigate the pressures and tensions we feel around our abs, our pelvic muscles, our shoulders and our hands. And you'll see as we go along. Now you might also hear and see our new resident kitten, Pippin. He may join me, so we'll see, shall we? He's a lovely, lovely little boy. Okay, so I've done my warm-up, that was in video 1, and I'm ready to do some slightly more energetic and more thoughtful exercise. And if there was one piece of equipment I'd recommend you buy is, as I showed in video 1, these stretchy bands, the circular ones. I'm just going to use one today. You can get about 5 different resistances, and they cost anywhere up to £20. I would spend a little bit more money to get towards that 15 or 20, because the cheap ones snap. So we're going to use this in 2 exercises, and we're going to do it mindfully. We're going to pay attention not only to how we do the exercise, the amount of effort we put in, but also where do we feel the resistances, where do we feel which muscles are working, and how soon do they fatigue, and can we just go a little bit further than we would normally do. And each time we do the exercises, we'll do repetitions, and I'm going to do 5 reps. I've already done some, and I may well do some more in a while, but we'll do 5 just to show you, and I'm going to do it really slowly. So we're going to put it around our feet and then around our knees, just above the knee. And then I'm going to lie back, put my feet together in the air and simply push my knees outwards. My upper body, shoulders is relaxed, and my feet are together, and I'm using those as the fulcrum. And I'm using my outer hip muscles to do all the work. I tense my tummy muscles a little bit. It doesn't need to be massive. And I just do this. You can start off with 5 reps, and you can either increase the number of reps or you can increase the tension. So I'm going to go to a red band now. Just slightly more tension. We're going to do clam shells. So we're going to lie on one side, feet together, and just lie and put one hand, the opposite top hand, on the floor. And then we're going to open up that knee. So the right knee is holding against the floor and the left knee is going upwards. And I'm using again these outer muscles, but also now the glutes are beginning to come into their own, because you can put much more force on than in the first exercise. So I would always recommend doing them with your eyes closed. And then use your mind's eye just to wander around your body and see where the tension is, where you're relaxed, and particularly which muscles are you engaging to complete the exercise. Do it slowly and intentionally. This is not a race. And when you've done some on that side, you turn over onto the other side. And again, best with your head low, and then rock outwards. Now we're all built slightly asymmetrically, so you'll find most likely one side works harder, maybe feel a little bit more stable than the other. Well, work harder on the one that needs the extra exercise and needs to be stabilized a bit more. Okay, those are clam shells. Now we're going to work on the abs and the lower back and the muscles that are in the floor of the pelvis. We're going to do some leg raises and we're going to do some twists. We'll do the leg raises first. Now you have the option of doing them bent leg or straight leg. Straight leg puts much more pressure on your lower back. So I would start with straight leg. And what we're trying to do is mimic some of the forces that we have to exert and resist against when we're in the boat. So for example, when we're in the boat and our knees are there and our feet are against the footrest, I'm kind of against the side of the frame now, okay? As we paddle, we're going to lift and pull this hip forwards. So we're going to need to be able to bring that force forwards, like that. So I often put my hand where I want the motion to happen, and it gives me an extra bit of indication of what's meant to occur. You can also put duct tape across, and that just annoys you enough to be able to sense various bits of your body. So we're going to go down on the floor, and I'm purposely next to my sofa because I can get my hands under the frame. Okay, you're not going to be able to see all my legs, doesn't matter. What I'm doing is putting my hands shoulder width apart, bent elbows, and I'm going to bring my knees up and then make my back curl a little bit by pulling in my tummy button. And all I'm going to do is on the out breath, tighten the tummy, pull down on my arms, my elbows are going to go horizontally away from the sofa, and then pull up using my stomach. I'm not throwing my legs up, I'm pulling up, holding my legs in the same position and using my stomach to do all the work. Now you can do it with straight legs. Go down slowly, come up quickly. Go down slowly, come up quickly. But don't do those until you have a really strong back and core, because you will do some damage. And make sure that you've locked that tummy button and are trying to drive it into the floor. It's what you learn in Pilates. Okay, why is that exercise good? It's because each time we put pressure on the blade, the tendency is to be pulled forwards or backwards, depending upon how you're doing the stroke. Either way, what you need is a really strong core, as if there was a sheet of stainless steel, which is your abs, and you're working against that immovable object. And those leg raisers mimic the same kind of force, but in reverse. Okay, so what do we want to do next? We want to get our oblique abdominals And those muscles like the psoas, the deep abdominals, working for us. Because what we want to be able to do, as I said in video 2, is bring that opposite hip, my right hip towards my left knee when I'm pulling on the left side, and vice versa. And that takes practice and exercise. You can do a lot of it in the boat, but if you can't paddle every day, you need to make up for it so that you can paddle against this winter flow that we're getting, or to go faster. So the first thing we need to do is stretch. And hopefully this angle will give it to you, and if not, I will do another one. So this time, using the sofa or the base of the bed, I put my arms wider, so it's almost mimicking the width that I have my hands on my paddle. Shoulders flat to the floor, and then bring the knees up, and then just roll to one side, trying to keep your shoulder down if you can. Doesn't matter if you can't, and it doesn't matter if your knees aren't touching the floor. And then what we're going to do is come back to the other side and just stretch out. I'm going to change the position of the camera so you can see all of me while I'm doing this exercise. See you in a second. Okay, I'm back. So this is going to be the knees across exercise. And while I was changing the camera, I thought, why don't I explain why I'm doing it, the benefits, and what I want you to be able to do while you're doing it. Because it's not just about, can I execute it properly? You'll get benefit, yes, but can I use it yet again to sense what's happening inside my body, and then can I project those same feelings to when I'm paddling? Can I recognize the same sensations in my hips, and my shoulders, and my back, and my chest? Because this one's going to be almost a whole body exercise. The only thing that we're not exercising is our legs, for a change. So here we go. Remember, hands shoulder width apart, our elbows at 90 degrees to our forearms, and we're going to rock over to one side. See if you can see my knees. And if you find that you're stuck somewhere here, it's suggesting you're very, very tight in these outer abdominals and hip muscles. So what you can do is take a big deep breath, relax, and then just let gravity do its work. Relax your shoulders, your hands, and just let your hip flop over. Now you can rock a little bit if you want. And just notice where the tension is. And then we can go over to the other side. Feeling a little tighter on this side than the other side. And it's making my left shoulder come off the ground more. One thing you can do to increase the amount of stretch and getting your knees closer to the floor is to cross your legs like this and then go over and then push down with that top leg and notice where the stretch is. And I find the stretch all the way deep inside my obliques, maybe even down to the psoas. And you start gently and you push down very slowly and gently as you breathe out. And you don't go too far too soon. And to do this every day, every morning, is a great way to start. Here's Pippin. And we come to the centre line.
slowly change legs. I'm crossing my right leg over my left, and we go over to the other side. And yes, this side is feeling a little bit tighter, so breathe. Your mind's eye is on here, and you soften as you breathe out. Why is it important for paddlers? Paddlers get very tight, shortened psoas muscles, and that actually paradoxically can give you lower back problems. So this exercise stretches the psoas and the obliques to a degree. It doesn't weaken them, and it can actually act as a kind of activation exercise. So I've done my stretches, and now the active exercise. So this is going to mimic paddling, but in reverse. We're going to lock out our upper body, and we're going to rotate our lower body. So we're going to rotate our hips over to one side, but don't touch the floor with your feet or your knees. Go over and then come back. And what you'll find is you've got to stretch from the top hand all the way down the back of your arm, all the way down the trapezoids, down into the hips, and down into the outer side of your thigh muscle. You'll also be having to work the lower leg because it's working to stop itself going any lower. So this is the exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm keeping my pelvic floor and my abs pushed down into my back towards my backbone, and each time my legs go over, I'm resisting it going any further by pulling down on the opposite arm, which is almost like paddling. You can do them slow, and you can do them fast and short distances, so you don't have to go the whole way. Now there's two things you can do with your hips. If I go down on one side, I can use these muscles to pull myself back by pulling on this arm, on the opposite, same side. So I can pull on my lower back and hip, and I'm pulling on my right arm, and I get over. This arm resists, and now pulling on my left lower back and hip, I'm relaxing this arm, pulling on the same left arm. So I can pull and relax each hand as it goes over. I can also play at lifting the opposite hip across. So this time I'm going to relax the top leg and make my lower leg do all the work, the hip muscles. So I tighten my pelvic floor and I lift my right hip up. I lift my left hip up, the opposite hip. All the while noticing where I'm feeling the pressure. So where am I feeling the pressure? Well, I'm having to work my arms pretty hard. They're getting tired. But I'm also having to work across my chest. This is holding everything stable across my shoulder girdle. So do the exercises and move your mind's eye from your hips. Am I pulling or am I lifting? And then my abs, are they staying tight and giving my pelvis a really good core to work against? What's my lower back feeling like? Which muscles are working when? What are my shoulders doing? Are they flat to the floor? Are they working hard? What are my trapezoids doing? When can I relax my hand? And just move around and spend 10, 20 seconds as you're going backwards and forwards. You don't have to really work hard. This is about sensing. You do all the hard work in the boat. When you get this, start searching for the same sensations when you paddle.
So that's it for today. What have we done? We have used exercise bands for the open legs on our back. We've done the clam shell, and this gets our glute medius really strong, because that's one thing that paddlers need, but the actual action doesn't strengthen our glute medius. We're sat down all the time. We have done the rotations, we've done the pull-ups, and we've done leg raises. The bent leg first, then if you really get strong, just try a few straight legs, but if it really begins to hurt too much, bend the knees again. It takes leverage off the back. I'm going to leave you with one exercise. It's the baby's bum shuffle. Yes, I said the baby's bum shuffle. Most babies, when they first get up, and before they walk, they'll do one of two things. The majority will crawl on their hands and knees, but a small percentage bum shuffle. And I'll show you what I mean. So, cross your hands, extend one leg, and extend it because you pull the hip forwards. Lock out, then pull the other hip across and forwards and extend the opposite leg. And then the next one, and so on, and so on. And you're using your hips, only your hips, to do the manoeuvring. And then you can do the opposite. The only way you can achieve movement is to tighten the pelvic floor. The only way you can achieve movement is to bring the hip forwards and move the leg forwards. And then grip on your heel and move the opposite hip forwards. And this is basically what you're doing in the boat when you're paddling, is opposite hip across, this hip back, and then we swap, and then we swap. So I am now bum shuffling in a kayak. And do that, I don't know, you can do it sitting, you can do it up against a surface. I've got mine against the other sofa now, and all I'm doing is lifting my hip upwards and forwards, upwards and forwards. And rotating as if I'd got a spike going through the top of my head, straight down my back and into the floor. I'm just rotating my hips around it. So, enjoy bum shuffling. It is perhaps one of the best exercises for developing equal pelvic rotation, and because of that, balance, stability. And once you get that, you can get the leg drive even harder, contain that leg drive because you've now got active pelvis. You get more pressure on the paddle, the boat goes faster for the same amount of effort. So, that's the end of video 3. I'll see you in video 4, where we're going to do some really interesting stretches. Because it's one thing to build strength, but if you don't have mobility, you can end up with either muscle and or joint problems. So, see you next time.